Okay, so one of the things I forgot to mention when I did the Philadelphia video was this. There was a film called The Philadelphia Experiment. It's also a real thing or whatever. It's claimed to be a hoax, but it's basically about this ship, and they did the Philadelphia Experiment, and it was basically to make the boat cloaked or invisible to enemies. But supposedly it actually like ripped open a hole in space time, and it sucked the ship through or whatever, and they time traveled or whatever. But I watched a couple of the movies, and I want to talk about them. But also the ship in the movie is actually a real ship, and what's the most interesting thing is they just passed gay marriage, and I mean, check this out. So this is called the Philadelphia Experiment, but it was also went by the code name Project Rainbow. Now, what do you think of when you think of rainbow? You think of gay people. That's the symbol for gay people, the rainbow. So Philadelphia Experiment is also called Project Rainbow. So then, before I even go into it, I'm just going to kind of backtrack again. The main reason that Philadelphia is big is because of Pope Francis is going to be there. He's coming to America, I believe, on 9/22 to 9/27. And then they've been foreshadowing 9/23 in films, in the media, and all kinds of things. So we've been talking about this for a long time now. And the Pope's going to be in Philadelphia on the 26th and the 27th. And also, they've been foreshadowing San Francisco a whole lot with like the movie San Andreas, the Golden State Warriors, who actually were originally from Philadelphia, just won the NBA Finals. There's a ton of things with San Francisco I've talked about previously, but Philadelphia is in the Bible 2 times, and it's in Revelation, both significant numbers. But so this one, when they mention Philadelphia, they also talk about the synagogue of Satan. And the Church of Satan, or the Synagogue of Satan, was actually founded in San Francisco, April 30th, 1966, so 49 years ago. And 49 has been a real key number, especially this year. Tons of things with it. Since the movie I'm talking about, or the experiment, the Philadelphia experiment I'm talking about, just wanted to point out a little time travel thing with it. So the speed in Back to the Future is 88 miles an hour. The plutonium is the gas, and then the flux capacitor is what makes it all happen. Well, the speed is 88. Plutonium 239 even. Plutonium 239 is what they called, in the Manhattan Project, they called it 49. And also 239 is interesting because that's the amount of years that the United States has existed. The 239th, or the 52nd prime number is 239. The Queen of England started her reign in 1952. There's a ton and ton and ton if you go back and watch my 52 stuff, or Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. But interesting, that's why 49, I think, is it's also pi, but I think it's super significant with this movie because of time travel and plutonium. Also, flux capacitor adds up to 149, and Obama's birthday, there's 149 days left. I haven't really figured out completely what this might be, but just pointing that out, I guess. And the Pope also ties in with San Francisco because he's actually named after St. Francis of Assisi. San Francisco is named after St. Francis of Assisi. San Francisco adds up to 122. Pope Francis adds up to 122. And all these stories, like I said, they tie in. Confederate flag adds up to 122. Philadelphia experiment adds up to 122. Also interesting, Kansas City adds up to 122. And someone in my comments actually showed me a video. It's this video here of the Kansas City Royals, the baseball team, and this guy dressed up like the Pope catches a home run ball. So interesting that Kansas City adds up to 122 as well. Also, just royals. I mean, that deals with royalty, the Queen. I mean, I've been talking and talking and talking about the Queen. I mean, the Royals even lost to San Francisco in the World Series last year. Seriously, I mean, there's so much stuff that ties together. Even May 2nd, the day Princess Charlotte was born, is 5/2, but it's also the 122nd day of the year. The Queen is 89 years old this year. 8/9 is, there's 200, it's the 221st day, kind of like the mirror of 122. Even February 21st, or 2/21, it's the 52nd day of the year. If you add 122 days to the 52nd day of the year, 2/21, the mirror, it goes to 6/26. That was the day that gay marriage was made legal. Anyway, I also just made a video on Kanye West in Glastonbury, how he sung Bohemian Rhapsody, and then also some guy got on stage and mocked him or whatever, kind of like what he did to Taylor Swift in the 2009 VMAs. So basically, it all originally started with Taylor Swift, Kanye West, and Beyonce, because Kanye went up on stage and said Beyonce was better, basically. So, well, I mean, look at this. Beyonce Knowles adds to 168. Taylor Swift adds to 168. Queen Elizabeth II adds to 168. Never added this one in there, but West Philadelphia, like where the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is from, equals 168. And the Pope, like I said, is going to be giving a mass in Philadelphia. Also, A Night at the Opera, so he sung Bohemian Rhapsody. A Night at the Opera is the album that it's on. It adds to 168. So, yeah, and it all started on September 13th of 2009 when Kanye did it to Taylor Swift. And that is so that if you write it as a date, it's in Europe, it's 13-9, like 139. And then this year, he did the same thing. He faked out Beck when Beck won the Album of the Year, and he got up on stage. It was on February 8th, and then Kanye's show that had happened to him was on 6/27. That is 139 days apart. And the album that Beck won with was called Morning Phase. Morning Phase adds up to 139. And it's all a play. Like, he did the Queen song, so like Queen Elizabeth, right? They even have an album called Queen 2. I mean, tons of stuff I talked about in the last video. But I mean, Queen, the main guy is Freddie Mercury, so it's all back to Freddie Gray. Even Beck's real name adds up to 122. Sorry to get off the subject, but I mean, give me a break. But like I said, it all goes back to Freddie Gray. Tons of stuff with the Civil War. I mean, I really think they're going to kill the Pope or they're going to kill Obama. I mean, literally the first word that Kanye West even sings in that song by Queen is "Mama, I just killed a man, put the trigger to his head," or whatever, and now he's dead. So, interesting. But back to Freddie Gray, I guess. So, the girl on Can't Buy Me Love, the main character on Can't Buy Me Love, died today. Or whatever it was, yesterday or today. But she died at age 43. And literally, I talked about this back when the Freddie Gray stuff happened. I talked about how they just had 50 Shades of Grey that came out. And the Civil War, the Confederates wore different shades of gray because they were poor and they couldn't afford the dye or whatever. That's why they were gray, and the Union was blue. It's all about the Civil War. So, I also talked about the Gray's Sports Almanac and Back to the Future that he gets in 2015. And then I talked about Patrick Dempsey because right around the same time that they killed off Patrick Dempsey off of Grey's Anatomy, that's when Freddie Gray died. And this was the episode that they killed him off on. And I mean, just look at this. So, well, for one, it aired on April 23rd, 2015, the 113th day of the year. Patrick Dempsey was born on 1/13, just like 113. He's also 49 years old, born in 1966. He's in the movie Valentine's Day that Taylor Swift is in, and Taylor Swift is in, her new album is called 1989. The Queen is 89. This episode is 43 minutes long. Wait, this girl died at age 43. And 43 is all about Abe Lincoln and the Civil War. So, like I said, Can't Buy Me Love, she does at 43. It says right here, she first appeared on the big screen age 9 as a dancer in the 1982 adaptation of the play Annie. And Annie also adds to 43. But I made a whole video on Little Orphan Annie not too long ago about the particle accelerator, the Hadron Collider that's in around Chicago. It's in like Batavia. Hold on. Yeah, so it's this right here. But it's performed at, they're going to be doing experiments this summer and this fall, actually. And it's at Fermilab. And it's in Batavia, Illinois. But it says Fermiland's Tevatron was a landmark particle accelerator. It was the world's second largest energy particle accelerator after CERN. But what's really interesting I talked about was CERN is in Geneva. And then you also have the Geneva Convention. And then Batavia, Illinois is part of a tri-city area. And one of the towns is Geneva. I mean, it's even built on the elevation of 666 feet. But the word Geneva adds up. I'll just do it on here. The word Geneva adds up to 54. Just real quick here. Well, hold on. It adds up to 54. And 54, love, also adds up to 54. And I guess I'll bring that back up in a second. But don't you find it interesting that the two biggest Hadron Colliders both have ties to Geneva? I mean, this one is in a tri-city with Geneva, and then the biggest one at CERN is in Geneva. I mean, come on, that's kind of weird. But anyway, let's go back to the 43s here. So, and I swear this all has to do with the movies that I'm going to talk about. I just want to explain what I'm talking about before I talk about it a little bit more, and I've organized it a lot better. So anyway, Can't Buy Me Love dies at 43. She was in Annie. Annie is 43. Abraham Lincoln was born on the 43rd day of the year. He became president on 3/4 of 1861. Charleston is where the Civil War started. Charleston adds to 43. Also, the Civil War began on April 12th, 1861. Freddie Gray was arrested on April 12th. The first death in the American Civil War was in Baltimore, where Freddie Gray was from, or whatever. And it was on April 19th, 1861. And Freddie Gray died on April 19th of this year. I mean, you even have this movie, Drop Dead Fred, that came out on April 19th, 1991. And you had Freddy's Dead that came out in 1999 as well. And it came out on September 13th, which is the mirror day of April 19th. So April 19th is the 109th day. September 13th, there's 109 left. And it came out in the same year. Freddy's Dead, Drop Dead Fred. Also 89 minutes long. The Queen is 89 this year. Interesting, too, I just figured out why that ties into the Kanye West deal even more, because this was the day in 2009 that Kanye went up on stage and took the mic away from Taylor Swift and complained about Beyonce. So then Kanye, I talked about it earlier, but then Kanye sings the Freddie song, right? Are you kidding me? He sings the Freddie Bohemian Rhapsody, and Freddie died. Oh, wow, it's craziness to me. So Freddie dies on the mirror day of September 13th, or the 139 that they were putting in there. So they were just mirroring the Freddie Gray thing. Craziness. I mean, Elm Street is even where JFK was murdered. In this movie, they show Baltimore, or the Orioles on the chalkboard, and he says that's when Freddie's kid was born, and it's 1966, the year that the Orioles won the World Series.